Breaking news is first at 5 for you tonight. The partial verdict handed down this afternoon amid drama with the jury.
All right, let's get right to Fox 5's Arthur Chen, who's been inside the courtroom all day watching it as everything unfolded. Arthur.
Steve, Natasha, we can call this a partial verdict, which it is, but the news here is that Harvey Weinstein has been found guilty on one of the top charges in the indictment against him, and this is all despite the unrest going on amongst the jurors. They were still able to reach this consensus. Let's show a graphic for how all of this breaks down. There are 3 counts in this indictment. The top one is criminal sex act in the first degree as it relates to Miriam Haley. The jury found unanimously that Harvey Weinstein was guilty on the first count of that indictment. Now, he was found not guilty unanimously on the 3rd charge of the indictment, which is the same charge, but as it relates to Kaja Sokola. And on the rape charge, which is technically count 2, the jury says they are still unable to reach a verdict, but they will continue tomorrow to try to reach one. Now, Ms. Haley walked out of the courtroom. We have video of that, as did Ms. Sokola. They walked out of the courthouse. They talked about a sense of hope and satisfaction that justice has been served despite frictions that continue in the jury room. One of those jurors this morning sent a note to the judge saying he was being singled out for not being willing to change his mind on the rape charge. Now, that set off demands for mistrial by Weinstein himself and his high-priced legal team. Weinstein himself, speaking to the judge, appeared to try to manipulate him, saying to the judge that this was a test. This moment is a test of the judge's courage, but the judge said jury deliberations are not meant to be easy. And when he polled the jury, they found that they were in agreement over the majority of the case. Now, emerging from court, one alleged victim said it only mattered that Weinstein was found guilty, no matter of which charge, and Miriam Haley thanked the jurors for, quote, seeing through the antics of Weinstein's defense team.
Testifying in the face of constant disruptions, victim shaming, and deliberate attempts to distort the truth was exhausting and at times dehumanizing. But today's verdict gives me hope.
Right now, I am very happy. He's convicted, and that's all that matters.
Not super surprised.
Now, we are now joined by Rich Schoenstein. Who is an experienced trial attorney here in New York. First off, there's a characterization right now by Weinstein's publicist that this is a victory for him. They wanted a mistrial. He got a conviction. Is this a victory for Harvey Weinstein?
It's not a victory. It's a conviction of one of the 3 counts, and one of them hasn't been decided. We don't even know the outcome. But they have been trying constantly for 2 weeks to get a mistrial. They wanted a do-over, and instead they're going to get a conviction. It's not the worst thing that could have happened, but it's no victory.
Okay, and the judge, let's talk about his decision. Harvey Weinstein and his attorney, Arthur Aidala, were forceful in right after the meeting with the juror saying, declare a mistrial now. The judge said, let's build in a step. Let's see if they've been able to agree. And we just found out that the jurors in this case agreed on count 1 and count 3 back on Friday, so they've only been in disagreement on the rape charge, heatedly so. What's that tell you?
So I think this is really good by the judge to get to the bottom of this, because we've seen some other high-profile trials where the jury comes in and says we can't reach a verdict on all counts, and they declare a mistrial, and it turns out that the jury was agreed on some of the counts. This judge got to the bottom of that, found out that the jury has been agreed for, 4 days since last Friday on the first count and the 3rd count, so they can enter those verdicts and they can be sent back to try to determine the 3rd count. I think that's really good work by the judge.
All right, Richard Schoenstein, thank you very much for your insight. Jurors are going to be back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. to resume deliberations. The friction's not over, but the case moves on. That's the latest from here at the criminal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Arthur Chen, Fox 5 News. Steve, Natasha, back to you guys.
All right, Arthur, thank you.